Hello, I'm George Plumtree, Chief Executive of the National Garden Scheme. Recently, we made a short film about our beneficiaries, with interviews from all of them, which tells you why they are important to us and what we do for them. All of us who are involved with the National Garden Scheme are interested in gardens. For some of us, it is our passion. We take great pride in the fact that we offer visitors an unrivaled selection of the best gardens in England and Wales. Uniquely, the great majority are privately owned and therefore not accessible at any other time. We are interested in and inspired by our charitable activities. We were founded 85 years ago specifically to raise funds for charitable donations, and it is this combination of fundraising and grant making that gives everything we do its sense of purpose. Since the first group of some 600 gardens opened in 1927, we have given away to our nominated beneficiaries more than £35 million, and we know that these funds have made substantial differences to all of our beneficiaries and their work. We're going to start with the charity that founded the National Garden Scheme, the Queen's Nursing Institute.
I'm Rosemary Cook. I'm the Director of the Queen's Nursing Institute. I have a background in community nursing as a practice nurse, and I've been at the Q&I for 7 years now.
And I'm Ros Lowe. I'm the chair of the Institute, and I've been chairman for 8 years, and I stand down next year, having done 9 years. I too have a background in community nursing as a health visitor, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my 9 years, it will be, as chairman, and particularly valued the relationship that we've had with NGS, about which you'll hear more in a minute.
Mm-hmm. And I became aware of the relationship with NGS as soon as I got to the Q&I because of the shared history that the two organisations have, with the NGS originating as a fundraising idea for the Queen's Nursing Institute by one of our council members, Elsie Wagg, who decided to open her garden and encourage friends to open a garden for charity, then raising money to support the Queen's Nursing Institute and its work, and they've gone on doing so ever since. The work that people do opening their gardens is directly going to help their neighbours, their friends, the older people at home who rely on community nursing.
Looking to the future, I would hope that the relationship that we have with NGS and with the garden owners will continue and grow, because the need isn't going to go away. So I'd like to thank you all and NGS as a whole for what you do for the Q&I. And so a big thank you, and keep up the good work.
By the end of the 1970s, the National Garden Scheme had become so successful at fundraising that the Q&I decided to establish it as an independent charitable trust, which was founded in 1980. At the same time, or shortly afterwards, it was also decided to begin distributing funds to other potential beneficiaries in the nursing sector. And in 1984, for the first time, such funds were distributed to Macmillan Cancer Support. 2011 was Macmillan's centenary year, and we at the National Garden Scheme are extremely proud that in the period since 1984 we have given them over £13 million, and in doing this we have become the single largest benefactor in their 100-year history.
My name is Ciarán Devan, Chief Executive of Macmillan Cancer Support, and this is Julia Palka, Chairman of Macmillan Cancer Support.
Hello.
The partnership with the National Garden Scheme is one of our biggest and most important. It's been going on for a long time. It's doing some very exciting stuff at the moment, and we have some great plans for the future as well.
Well, I think over 25 years they've funded 143 posts, is that right?
That's right, and funding means the National Garden Scheme has raised over £13 million for Macmillan in that time, for which we're hugely grateful. The most recent posts have been in acute oncology, so supporting cancer patients in accident and emergency, skin cancer, across the whole range of nursing posts, but also occupational therapy posts over time. It's hugely exciting. If part of our contribution to the NGS as well needs to be to make sure that people realise that when they do attend an NGS garden, that they are supporting Macmillan.
So a huge thank you to all of you for everything that you're doing for Macmillan and will, I hope, continue to do.
In 1996, it was decided to further extend the field of donations within the nursing and caring sector, and amongst the 3 charities chosen was Marie Curie Cancer Care, in many ways a logical partner to Macmillan.
I really want to introduce the members of the National Garden Scheme to our chairman, our new chairman, John Varley. I'm rather an old face for members of the NGS as chief executive, but this is our new chairman and we're so thrilled that he's with us.
Thank you, Tom. And it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you today. One of the things that strikes me, new boy as I am in this organisation, is how critically dependent we are on durable support. And when I think about durable support, the role model, frankly, is the National Garden Scheme, because you have been our supporters for longer than any other supporter that I could think of.
It's fantastic. The money that John talks about translates into so much care. It's provided with us since you started donating to us with 350,000 hours of care. Or to look at it another way, that's 40,000 patients. I mean, it's just an astonishing number of people, John, isn't it?
Yes. There's a nice symmetry, it seems to me, between what you do for us and a service that we regard as so important to those that we're caring for, which is providing a congenial and interesting and civilised garden environment in which they can spend some of their last hours.
Most recently, we've recognised that it's very worrying for people when they're admitted to our hospices to worry about what's going to happen to their gardens while they're in the hospice. So we've created a new volunteer service which goes into their garden at home while they've been cared for in our hospice, just to keep everything neat and tidy and trim and the borders weeded, and to help their wives or husbands do that, so that when they go home, their gardens look almost as beautiful as an NGS garden.
In 1996, the National Garden Scheme also began to donate funds to help the hospices, the central organisation for the hospice movement all over England and Wales.
I'm David Prale and I'm Chief Executive of Help the Hospices.
And I'm Michael Howard and I'm in my first year as Chairman of Help the Hospices and regarded as an enormous privilege to be associated with this great movement.
Lots of synergies between hospices and the National Garden Scheme, both at that local level, also in the fact that gardens are themselves places both of beauty and somewhere you can go for spiritual nourishment and for silence, and hospices do themselves pride themselves on the gardens that they have, and they're part of the service that's provided. And in the past year, we've been able to use the funds from the National Garden Scheme to fund over 600 people to improve their skills in providing care for anyone, adults and children, who are taking a journey towards the ends of their lives. And we've also been funding some major projects as well, improving home care, so taking care into people's homes as well. And there have been some larger grants, again from the National Garden Scheme, that have enabled us to do that.
The third charity chosen as a beneficiary by the National Garden Schemes was Crossroads Care, an organisation which looks after carers, the people who support either members of their own family, friends or strangers in their own homes. They are people who are becoming increasingly important in today's society, but whose needs are often overlooked. We're going to hear from Crossroads Chief Executive Anne Roberts and their Deputy Chairman Sohail Rasool.
There are over 6 million people who have a caring responsibility, and for many of them it's not something they've planned or thought about. And I would imagine a lot of you know somebody, probably in your own family or in your neighbourhood, who who do look after somebody else, and that has a real impact on their own life. It's something that's still quite misunderstood and it's hidden. And what Crossroads Care does is work with carers and the people they care for, so that carers can have some time off, can have a break, and that's something that they tell us is absolutely vital.
Yes, I got involved with Crossroads Care after being a carer myself. I was looking after my elderly mother, and I quickly realised that while there was an enormous amount of professional support from my mother, I as a carer was really left outside of that care and that support network.
So I think from us, we just wanted to say a big thank you to you for all the work that you do that enables us to do more for family carers in their local communities.
Our final message is from someone who will be a stranger to none of you. He is the president of Perennial, formerly known as the Gardeners Royal Benevolent Society, which last year also amalgamated with another of the NGS's beneficiaries, the Royal Gardeners Orphans Fund.
I'm Alan Titchmarsh and I'm patron of Perennial, which is a charity that used to be called the Gardeners Royal Benevolent Society. It funds and helps older gardeners who've fallen on hard times, who might be widowed, who need help, support and sustenance. And it's enabled to do that to a great extent by the funds that are given to it by the National Garden Scheme. I am an enormous fan of the NGS, quite simply because no other country in the world can offer getting on for 4,000 private gardens that are open to the public to raise money for nursing charities. It's just the most stupendous idea. And Britain, being a nation of gardeners, it really works. It strikes me as being particularly nice that people who are gardening actively now on a small scale at home with sensational plots, often quite tiny, are helping those professional gardeners who are now past doing anything too extreme, too heavy, but who want to help them go on through retirement happily and contentedly. And I take my hat off not only to the people who open their gardens and can cultivate a plot which has that kind of interest, but also to the people who administer the NGS and look after it and make sure that everything's up to scratch. It's only by keeping things at that high level and by making the yellow book difficult to get into that you retain that gold, or in this case, yellow standard. I'm very proud of the association that Perennial has with the National Garden Scheme and hope that it can continue for many a year.
Lots of people have never heard of the National Garden Scheme. If they have, it's quite likely that they have no idea how much money is raised or where the funds go. They certainly do not know that it runs to millions of pounds annually. We hope that this film will change this and encourage more and more people to support the National Garden Scheme, in particular to visit our gardens, and so to enable us to increase our annual donations to our beneficiaries in nursing and caring.